If your school community is experiencing churn, then this video is going to help you with that. Now, the first thing we have to do is look at Skool for what it is. What do you use Skool for? You use it to sell your products. Now, what can we mirror this to? We can mirror this to Netflix. What is the value that people pay for when they subscribe to your program? Most of the time, it's the courses. Now, if somebody pays for a Netflix subscription, what are they paying for? They are paying for content. Now, these two are very similar because your courses are content. And when they pay for content on Netflix or courses on Skool, what are they actually paying for? On Netflix, they are paying so that they can watch movies and series. Now, if we look at Skool, they're paying for your courses so that they can master skills and have solutions to their problems. Now, this is very important to know, because if Netflix didn't expand its range of movies and series, do you think people would still be paying a subscription, or would they be better off buying those movies just once? However, Netflix has a solution to this problem, and this is a solution that's missing from many school communities. What do? They make more content. They bring out more movies, more series, and they will often create spin-offs. Now, what can you do? You can go deeper into a topic. Let's say that you have a woodworking community, and inside you have your courses. But if you were to expand those courses for people who are becoming experts in the topics because they already watch their content and they are implementing it, and now you make more courses, and then you go very specific in how they can make their woodworking very realistic. That's a way to approach it. That's why I say don't limit the amount of content you have over a certain time period. If you can make more, then I suggest that you do make more. Now let's look at why many school communities experience churn. One of the main problems is that they don't deliver a win fast enough. Now, what am I trying to say with this? Well, imagine that you wanted to learn a skill like woodworking, and instead of that skill being presented to you after you bought a program, you have to go through a bunch of content about things that you don't really care about, and it's this very long, stretched out process of the creator explaining to you certain things they need to know, or the fancy words, or things like mindset, for example, the mindset to woodworking or whatever topic you bought your course on. This is not a win. If you can deliver a win to your audience, a tangible victory that they achieve as fast as possible, this will significantly reduce your churn. An example of this would be to make it so they can do something right after joining your school community. Like for woodworking, for example, they can get a piece of wood and learn how to properly use the tools on a random piece of wood they found somewhere. Now that would be a win, because in that moment they're actively moving forward into creating the things that they want to create, and that means that your product is doing its job properly. Now, another problem is that while you may have a quick win for your audience, they don't achieve it quickly because you lack proper onboarding. Now, why is onboarding so important? And what is onboarding? Onboarding is where you take a new customer and you lay out a plan for them that they can follow. So they join, and the first thing they do is they either receive a DM from you, which directs to a post, or they read a post which is pinned for all new members. Once they're on that post, they will be linked to every single thing they need to do right now. If they can get to that quick win as fast as possible, which is often positioned in the classroom, near the courses, then this will significantly decrease your churn. Now you might be wondering, how do I write a proper onboarding post? How do I make it so that people read it and they're instantly able to act on the things I say? Well, don't worry. Scroll down to the description of this video right now. In there, you will see that there's an onboarding post. You can copy paste it, use it in your own community. Of course, you're going to have to make some changes to make it specific to your community, but I'm assuming that won't be a problem. Now next, let's move over to the other important thing of a school community. This is the community. And we can mirror this, or compare it if you want, to a real life club where people practice a hobby, like, as I mentioned before, woodworking. Now, what is the first difference? Well, the first difference is that in a hobby club, this is real life, while a community is online. Now, in these things that happen in real life, what is one of them? Well, people are talking. Would you still join a woodworking club if nobody was talking? If nobody was engaging with the other people and helping them out? Of course you wouldn't. That's why you have to use the chat. Now, why do you have to use the chat? Because the people who join will be rewarded from using the chat both to ask questions and to answer other people's questions, and I'll get more into detail on that later. However, what's important to know right now is that if the chat is properly used, then this will increase the value of your community. The last thing is that in any club in which a hobby is practiced, things were going on. If you joined a woodworking club, but there was nobody actually working on the wood, that wouldn't make much sense. But that's the thing I see that's going on in a lot of communities these days. Nothing is going on. Now, how do you change that? Well, it's very simple. You organize events. And these don't have to be in real life, they can be online. This is a short summary of what you should do if you do decide to run events. So the first thing you have to keep in mind for an event is that it has to be very niche. So let's say your topic is woodworking. It can't just be woodworking. It has to be niche inside of that. So for example, how to make nice looking chairs or how to make detailed statues. Now this experience also has to be rewarding for the customer. How do you make it rewarding? Well, you make sure that they can experience results from joining in that challenge. And it also has to be user driven. Now, how do you do that? This is very simple. You have to set the example or lay out the challenge in detail. So how one could do this is by making a post explaining the event and actively participating in it. Like, for example, you making a chair, posting it in the group, telling others how you did it, or even better, you record a video of how you made that chair. But it's also important that the community does the same. Now, there are many ways of making it rewarding for the community, and I'm not going to go too heavily into detail on that. That is something you have to use your creative mind for when you're actively thinking about the community, your niche, and all those things that go into it. What's important, however, is that the event is set up in such a way that all your members will fear missing out on the event, that they will fear missing out on the skills that they will learn or the achievements that they will reach when they don't engage with your event. With all of that out of the way, let's move over to the final thing that we can do, and that is gamifying your community. Now, a quick thing I'll mention here first is that Skool has a built-in system for gamifying your community. While most people think this doesn't make a big difference on the Skool community, it's very important that people level up quickly to around 3 or 4. Of course, you have to split test everything if you really want to know which levels are best for your community. However, if you can properly use the points and the leaderboards, then you can seriously reduce churn inside of your community. And the final thing we have to do to gamify is we have to understand two things that are important for games. Games offer rewards and they offer pain. If you were to play a game like Minecraft, for example, you get rewarded for killing hostile mobs. But if you get killed by them, then you are in pain because you lost all your items. Now, am I saying that you have to make your users lose all their items? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying, however, is that you have to use the reward and pain system inside of your community. So what are the first things we can look at for a reward system? Well, social status, the leaderboards, for example, offer a great way to get people to engage with your community, to gamify it, to make it like a challenge for all the members that they compete against each other in trying to provide as much value as possible. Then there is acknowledging the great work of the people inside of your community. Like, hey member, you made this awesome post and you did a very great job and I'm very grateful to have you in here. Make it personal. Make sure that people know that they're being validated by you. Then you can give them shout outs. So, for example, at the end of every month, You shout out the members that made the best posts or the members that asked the best questions. You can give them a quick shout out on a post at the end of every month. Very simple to do, doesn't take a lot of time, but it will significantly decrease your churn. Another thing you could do is give them mod status. So you can make them a moderator in your community. Then there are free extras that you can give them. So for example, you can make them an affiliate, which is good for them and for you because they can make money and you can make more money. Or you can give them free one-on-one calls if they complete certain things or they reach a certain level in your community. Or if they're really smart and you want to make them really feel like they're a part of a community and that they're a leader inside of your community, you can give them speaking time in a group call. There's, of course, other monetary benefits you can give them, like a month free, and these are all just examples. I'm sure that if you think about it, you'll be able to find rewards that you can give them. Now for pain, this is not necessarily something you have to inflict on them, because Skool already does that with the social status. But there's two important pain factors that apply to a Skool community. First is, as I mentioned, the social status. So if they're a low level, they're going to want to engage more. Because if you're a low level and you are inside the community for a very long time, then you fear what people might think of you. Then there is FOMO, so fear of missing out. Now they will miss out, and they know it, because if they're not engaging with the people inside of the community, then they're missing so much value. So that's something you can bring up in a post like, hey, if you haven't engaged, you're missing out on all this value that the other members inside of this community are providing. So you should really engage so that you can speed run your progress. So to summarize this entire video, your courses are like content on Netflix. Your community is like a real life club which people engage in. And if you're able to deliver a win quickly to your audience, then they're more likely to stay for longer and not churn after the first month. And finally, if you're able to gamify your community, you will significantly decrease your churn. If this video was helpful, then consider liking and subscribing. And if you're a content creator and you want me to help you in creating and scaling an info product, or you just want to know why I make these videos, then click the first link in the description.